Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to the Fourth Angels Learning Center. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Jadiel. Thank you for joining us for our Aleph Bet study. Today, we're going to be talking about the letter SAMECH, the letter SAMECH. So before we get into this letter, I want to remind you guys, subscribe, click the notification bell so that you could be aware, notified for new content that's going to come out very soon. Also, I want you guys to consider supporting the ministry by sharing the video. Make sure that you allow this to spread to as many people and encourage as many people as we possibly can. So let's get started with this word of encouragement. Today's letter is the letter SAMECH, the letter SAMECH. Let's look at this letter. I'm going to pull it up. All right. So the ancient Hebrew is a thorn. They depicted a thorn. Looks like a TV antenna from back in the days, but it's a thorn or a stick with thorns. The meaning of this letter SAMECH is very important for us to grasp because it helps define a certain meaning that has been misunderstood for a long time. But this is the transition from ancient pictograph to paleo, and then we have the modern SAMECH, the modern SAMECH. We're going to see that again, this symbol again when we get to the Psalms 119. So the meaning of this letter SAMECH also, it means to hate, to grab, and to protect. To hate, to grab, and to protect. So what does hate and protect has to do with each other? How are those things connected? Well, many people have a concept of hate as having an emotional despising of another person or another thing or whatever it may be. In scripture, hating is to push away. It's the opposite of love. Love is an action. Those of us who study Hebrew, you will know that love isn't, well, not just Hebrew, just understanding the concept of love from scripture in general. Love is an action. It's something that gives. So when it comes to hating is not necessarily something that despises, but something that does not give. It's the opposite, So if you have something that you're protecting, you are pushing away something else. You are not displaying your protection on the thing that you hate. So it's very interesting to understand this concept. You could check when Messiah made a reference of hating your family, loving him and hating your family. It wasn't that he wanted you to despise your family. The concept was that he wanted you to give the attention that was necessary to Yah, rather than giving that attention that belongs to Yah to your family. AKA, people worship their children, people worship their spouses. And what Yah was trying to say was give that attention, give that awareness, give that that approaching, that relationship to Yah. And then Yah will empower you to love your family. So in other words, you have to give it to Yah, not necessarily despise your family, but whatever you give to Yah, you do not give that to your wife and children. Yah will empower you with the love that your wife and children need, but you do not give your wife and children the attention, the worship that you would give to Yah. So this is what the concept of hate is about. It's about protecting what is yours, pushing out what is not yours. And, grab is another context of protection, to grab something, to hold it tight, making sure nothing brings any harm to it. So it's reflected by a thorn with a bush with thorns or a stick with thorns. And we know in the agricultural society, of course, probably many animals that will come in and destroy the crops. So you would basically plant thorn bushes in order to prevent beasts from coming in and destroying your crops. So it's a protection. It's a hedge of protection. The scripture talks about that phrase, a hedge of protection, because they were aware of planting thorns, a hedge of thorns to keep animals out, as well as people. So let's look at a verse that I wanted to bring out this concept. It's interesting. Let's go to Psalms 119, right? So SAMECH is right here, right? It's not necessarily a circle, but it's something similar. But the interesting thing is that within this stanza from verse 113 to verse 120, there's mentioning of the concept of SAMECH. Remember, SAMECH means to hate, right? It means to hate. It also means to protect. So when we look at verse 116, it says, uphold me according to your word that I may live. Let me not be ashamed of my hope. So there's a lot of, it means to grab, hold me up, I shall save. So we're going to take a look at this stanza just to see this concept of holding, right? Uphold. That's the word SAMECH, H5564, right here. It means to prop up, to lean, to take hold, to grab, right? To establish. This is what the letter SAMECH means. Okay. So I want us to understand this concept before going into it, because you're going to see a lot of perspective based off of this concept. You even have Sane, which starts with the SAMECH, well, it says Shin, but the concept of hate is one of the definitions of SAMECH. So let's get into it and let's kind of see the perspective. Remember, he's trying to give us a perspective of protecting something, grabbing hold of something, and hating something. He wants us to emphasize and meditate on those elements, right? So let's take a look. The last one we did was noon. Noon was an element of continuation, of perpetuating something, right? Perpetuating his word. Now, SAMECH is an emphasis on hating something, being held up and protected by something as well. So let's focus on that perspective. So Psalms 119, it says, I hate vain thoughts, but your Torah do I love. You see the contrast? The contrast? What will you do with the Torah? You'll meditate on the Torah. You'll entertain the Torah. You'll establish those thoughts of the Torah, of what does Yah say? What does this mean? You'll investigate the Torah. When it comes to vain thoughts, Yah wants you to dispose of those thoughts. He wants you to remove those thoughts. He does not want you to entertain those thoughts. So you see the concept of hating, keeping something out, and protecting something within. The Torah is something that you protect. The vain thoughts is something that you dispose of, you remove. So let's continue. I'm gonna read straight through. It says, I hate vain thoughts, but your Torah do I love. You are my hiding place and my shield. I hope in your word. Depart from me, you evildoers, for I will guard the commandments of my Elohim. Uphold me according to your word that I may live, and let me not be ashamed of my hope. Hold me up, and I shall be safe, and I have respect unto your statutes continually. You have trodden down all them that err from your statutes, for their deceit in falsehood. You put away all the wicked of the earth like dross. You see that? You put away all the wicked of the earth like dross. Therefore, I love your testimonies. My flesh trembles for fear of you, and I am afraid of your judgments. Please understand this perspective. The same way that Yah is moving is the same way we ought to move. The way that he acts is the way we ought to act. The way that he thinks, the way that he views things is the way that we ought to view things. So what is it that he wants us to view here in regards to SAMECH? He wants us to understand that when you hate something, you also have to love something. You can't hate everything. So what does he want you to hate specifically that will enable you to love something else? He says, I hate vain thoughts, but your Torah do I love. You cannot love vain thoughts and love Torah at the same time. They contrast. You have to love one and hate the other. Messiah made this clear about having two masters. You can't have two masters. You can't have two loves. Look, let's continue to look at this. You are my hiding place and my shield. You see that protection aspect of SAMECH. You are my hiding place and my shield. I hope in your word. Here's the hating aspect. Depart from me, you evildoers, for I will guard the commandments of my Elohim. Every time you see a perspective or aspect of hatred or removing something or keeping something away, there's also a keeping something close. I'm going to move away the evildoers, but I'm going to guard close the commandments of my Elohim. So now to grab, this concept of to grab, uphold me according to your word. How does Yah uphold us according to his word? We're holding Yah to what he said he will do for us, what he will do in our hearts, in our minds. We're asking him to keep us safe. We're asking him to strengthen us. We're asking him to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We're asking him to do what he said according to his word, that I may live. And let me not be ashamed of my hope. Let me not hope and it fails. Let me not surrender myself to your word, to your protection, to your arms, and then it doesn't come to light. He's saying, let it come to light, let it happen according to your word. This word here, uphold me, is SAMECH, which is to establish me. This is what the word SAMECH, the letter SAMECH means. This is the word SAMECH. It says, hold me up and I shall be safe or protected. This is what the word SAMECH means. And I will have respect unto your statutes continually. You have trodden down them that error. There goes the protection from wickedness, but it's also, like I said, the word hate or separation is what the thorn bush does. The pictograph of the thorn is causing a divide between that which is being protected and that which is outside. It says, you've trodden down all them that err from your statutes because of the deceit, because their deceit is falsehood. You put away all the wicked of the earth like dross. Therefore, I love your testimonies. My flesh trembles for fear of you, and I am afraid of your judgments. So there's a concept of awareness, like I am aware of what would happen if I walk in wickedness, what would happen if I focus on deceit and falsehood, what would happen if I love vain thoughts. So this was pretty clear and simple to see that the SAMECH, the protection, the hate, the removal, the separation between that which is loved and that which is hated, is very clear. Wickedness is hated. Vanity is hated. Evil is hated. Deceit is hated. Falsehood is hated. But what's loved? The Torah, Yah's Torah, is loved. His word, his commandments is guarded, right? His statutes is respected, right? His testimonies is loved. And we are reverenced or afraid of his judgments. Are we afraid of his judgments if it's for us? If we're walking according to his judgments, are we afraid? No. What we're afraid is if we're walking in contrast. If we're walking contrary to his judgments, we should be afraid because there is a consequence. It's not that you do things just to avoid the consequence, but avoiding the consequence is a good thing. I'm not gonna walk in the street, without, covering my eyes because I'm afraid of getting hit by a car. Is that a bad fear? No, it's a caution. This fear would allow me to make wise choices. I will not go across the street unless I can look both ways or unless I'm aware of what's going on. If I'm not aware, I will not go across the street. I have to be cautious. This is the same way we need to approach Yah or any king, any person of authority. You won't just stomp into a king's presence, acting any kind of way. You have to approach it with that fear, with that recognition and awareness of the majesty that you're about to come across or the mightiness. If I don't want to get hit by a truck, so I'm aware of how strong a truck would be. So this concept, we always have to be protected. We also have to make sure that we are aware of the opposite of what Yah wants us to be a part of, that we need to remove those things that is contrary to what Yah says or what Yah is offering to us. So praise Yah. I hope that we have this time of meditation to meditate on the things that we need to hate and the things that we need to love, and to put those things in a proper place as well. There's many things that we place in the love category that we should be placing in the hate category. There's things that we hate that we should be more protecting, so let's be aware of those things in our life. Let's examine ourselves and put those things in a proper place. I look forward to studying with you guys soon. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom, shalom. Thank you guys for joining our study today. I hope that it was edifying. And if you want to support this ministry, you can support us on 4alc.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube page. Click the like button and the notification bell. I hope to see you guys on the next study. Shalom, guys.